Hey guys, Haz here at Shield K9, and I'm going to be introducing you to how to set up the ET300 Mini Educator e-collar. Okay, if you train with us or if you purchase a dog from us, you will be using one of these, and you may be getting it new in the box, and unless you're taking an in-person class with us, you may be a little bit confused about how to get this thing working. So I'm going to run you through all of it right now. So we open the box, all right? And this is how the collar comes stock from the manufacturer, ECollar Technologies, all right? So you've got your receiver, all right? And you'll notice you've got the stock 1/2-inch contacts on there, all right? And we've got our transmitter. And the receiver and the transmitter always come charged, so you don't have to worry about charging it immediately. So a couple things you need to know about the transmitter, all right? We've got the stock 1/2-inch contacts on there. Now, depending on your dog's coat, this is really important. If you've got a dog like Arco over there, you know, your typical German Shepherd, Malinois, you know, Labrador Retriever, you are going to have a dog that needs the 3/4-inch contacts. If you have a very short-coated dog like a Doberman, a Bulldog, a Bull Terrier, you know, the 1/2-inch contacts will be just fine for you. There are also winged contacts that you can purchase either from us or from the manufacturer that work really well with dogs that have very thick, long coats like the Great Pyrenees, the Huskies, you know, whatever long coat dog you've got. Winged contacts work best, or you can get 1-inch long contacts. But in the box, what you're going to receive is the 1/2-inch manufacturer, the 1/2-inch contacts that are on the receiver, and the 3/4-inch contacts that come extra. So I'm going to be, since this collar is going to be set up for Arco over there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these 3/4-inch contacts on this collar. It comes with a Allen key, which I'll pull out right now. And you can use the Allen key to take off the 1/2-inch factory contacts and replace them with these 3/4-inch contacts. Finger tighten in the beginning, and then tighten them down just a little bit with the Allen key. Don't over tighten them because you can break those metal posts if you really reef on it, which you don't want to do. So we got the 3/4-inch contact on. I would do it with both of them, but I'm not going to use this collar. I'm just using it as a demo, so I'm not going to change both of them. Let's talk about basic setup. All right, so you've got this long biothane collar. Obviously, it's too long for the vast majority of dogs. They do that on purpose because some people have enormous dogs with big, thick necks, and they need this length of collar. The vast majority of you do not. So once you put it on your dog, you can cut the end off of it at whatever length is convenient for you. If you have a dog that's still growing, obviously leave some space for your dog to grow into the collar. To turn the transmitter on and off, there is a on-off button on the back of your transmitter. It also has an L on it, and that's because it also functions as the light. So I'm going to turn the transmitter on by pushing and holding this button down, and you're going to see this. So now the transmitter is on, okay? To turn the receiver on, just because I turned this on doesn't mean this is on. A lot of people assume just because I turned this on, this is automatically on. This is not on. There is a magnetic button. You can see that little red button there, that little red dot. That's a button. And I need to touch this red magnet that is attached to my transmitter, to my receiver, in order for it to turn on. So watch the light. There you go. Now I have a blinking green light. So that means that my receiver is on and it is charged. All right, so now I have a transmitter that's turned on. I see numbers. If I turn the dial at the top, it lights up. The numbers change. And I've got a flashing green receiver. Now, if this was flashing red or orange, that means it's about to die. I should plug it in, and it is no longer usable for my dog. I only have a few more minutes before it cuts out. Now, getting into the functions of the receiver. Okay, I'm sorry, the transmitter. You'll see an M, a 0, a C, and a 1D. So 1D means one dog, all right? Unless you've got two dogs, which I'm not going to get into right now. 1D is fine. Don't worry about that. If you've got you see the M and the C. M stands for momentary. C stands for continuous. Now, if you're training with us, or if you have a dog that we've trained, we always recommend exclusively using the continuous setting. So in order to change this collar to exclusively continuous, you're going to go on the back. You see that MC button? Okay. I'm going to push and hold until I see this display show exclusively a C. So you see that? There's a beep, and now it says C. There's no more M visible, okay? If, for whatever reason, you accidentally push that button and you start seeing the M or the MC appear on the screen, simply repeat what I just did until you only see C. It's really important that as long as you push the button, the dog receives the stim. If you want to just bump the dog on the collar or tap the dog on the collar, you can simply do it with your finger. You don't need the collar to do it for you. This is actually a really important safety feature, because a lot of people think that they're on continuous, and maybe the dog, God forbid, takes off after a squirrel or a rabbit, and they're hitting the dog on the collar on, you know, what a level that usually works, and the dog's just running through it like it doesn't even exist. Because even if you push and hold the button and it's on momentary, your dog's just going to get one little quarter-second blip on the collar, and that's it. So continuous. Make sure your collar is always set to continuous. Now, you turn up, you change the level on your e-collar. So you see that 0. 0 stands for the level that this collar is set to. So that little dial at the top, I can turn it, and it's actually here. Just zoom in there. Yeah, it's actually very sensitive, so I can go up and down very, very fast. All right. Let's get into the buttons on the collar. So we've got the T button. That stands for tone, and it's also the vibrate button. So I don't use this in training. I only use this when I'm training a deaf dog, but it's a great way to test if your collar is on, if you can't really see so well and you can't really see the light flashing, especially if it's a bright sun. So what I'll do is I'll hold the collar in one hand and I'll just vibrate. And you can also see that flashing red light every time I hit the button. Okay, so this collar is on, and that's the vibrate button. Now you have a black S button and a red S button. Okay, black S stands for stimulation. So this is the electric stimulation. If I want to stimulate the dog on the level that the screen shows, so let's say the level here. So here, the level says 10. Okay, if I want to stimulate my dog on a level 10, I'm going to be pushing that black S button. So when I carry my collar, I carry it in my right hand, and my index finger rests right there, so I can quickly deploy the collar if I need to. The red S button is a boost. Okay, so it automatically from the factory is set to add 5. So if it's on 10 and I hit the red S, the e-collar automatically starts delivering 15. If I hit the black button, we're back at 10. So it's just whatever number you happen to be, and you hit that red button, it's just an automatic plus 5. Now you can change this. There's an instruction manual in the box. You can change this and make it plus 10, plus 40, plus 50, plus 60. It goes all the way up to 60. So if you hit the red button, it makes 60 more. Again, I'm very fast with the e-collar. I hold it like this and I can turn it up real fast without even looking, because I use these all the time. If you don't use these all the time and you have a dog who becomes very resistant to the e-collar under maybe certain levels of distraction, or very aroused in the presence of certain things like other dogs, squirrels, whatever, and you need quick level changes and you're not very fast with turning the dial up and down, I strongly recommend changing the red button boost to a higher level. So maybe it's for you plus 30 is what you need. So whatever, maybe your dog's normally a 10, but all of a sudden, you know, a bunny appears and that 10 isn't doing anything anymore, and you hit the red, and now you've got 40 because you made it plus 30. So plus 30 plus 10 is 40. Okay? So again, I'm not going to get into how to do that right now just because it's a little bit more complicated. Under the plastic case, you have a owner's manual, and it's actually really easy, guys. I strongly recommend you read it. And it will tell you how to do all the more advanced functions. We're just keeping it basic right now. So we've got the black S button, the red S button. We've got the dial to turn the collar up and down. We've got the T button, which is tone vibrate. All right. The next thing that you need to know is how to turn the nightlight on and off. So remember that on-off button that also has a light light written on it or L written on it. If you push and hold it real fast, you start to see a blinking white LED light. If you push it again, you get a solid bright white LED light. This is great for if your dog's running around in the middle of the night and you can't see your dog. This thing really shines, so it's great if you're doing any night training or night walking with your dog. Push it again and it disappears. So again, it's that big black button. If you want to turn the collar off after you've taken it off your dog, push and hold the on-off button and keep on holding it until the display flashes off, and touch that magnetic button to that magnetic button to turn it off. Now there's no more flashing light. That means this unit is completely off. All right. The last thing that you need to know about what's in this box, you've got your charger, okay? It's actually, this system charges relatively fast. In about 40 minutes, it's fully charged from empty. So all you do, you have a little port there, push that in. Make sure you don't do it halfway. Make sure you push it in firmly all the way, all right? And plug that into the wall. Within 40 minutes, the system will be charged. When you have it plugged in, this goes solid red, and it continues to be solid red until it goes solid green. When you see a solid green light here, it means that your collar is fully charged. Same thing for this. The port is in the back. Push it in, plug it in, and you'll see that as a solid red light until, again, it's fully charged and it becomes a solid green. Okay, guys, so from a functional perspective, let's talk about how to put the e-collar on the dog. There are many different ways to do this. There are many different approaches or thoughts on this. I'm going to talk about what we do here so that you can stay consistent at home with what we're doing or what was already done with your dog. So you'll come over here. Here's my dummy dog, Arco. So I'm going to use him. Sit. Sit. Good. To show how to put the e-collar on properly. Sit. Arco has been trained to heel on the left side. Arco. Sit. Arco's been trained to heel on the left side, so naturally the e-collar is going to go on the left side of his neck, and I'm going to explain why shortly. So I'm going to put the e-collar up fairly high. Some people like to put it low and some people like to put it high. For me, it depends on the dog. Arco has a nice big thick neck, so it can go up there on his neck. I'm going to put it so that the device sits on the left side of his neck. So we're actually on the wrong side. Let's go all the way around here. All right. And now you'll see the device on the left side of the dog's neck and the box on the left side of the dog's neck. So I'm going to pull. Here's the part where almost every one of my clients in the beginning screw up. They do not put this e-collar on tight enough. And the mistake with that is that those contacts that are on your collar need to penetrate this thick fur coat and touch his skin. If the collar is not in contact with his bare skin, it will not properly work. So you may be up at, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, and the dog barely is reacting to the collar, or all of a sudden overreacts because sometimes the prongs are making contact with his skin and sometimes they're not. So it's really important when you're training with an e-collar or when you're just using it as an insurance device, if your dog is already fully trained, that you ensure your collar is fitted correctly. So the collar is up relatively high on his neck. If you have a really skinny or small dog, then you can put the collar lower at the base of the neck where it's thicker and there's more muscle. So we're going to put the collar up there. I'm going to pull this strap relatively tight. And the way that the easiest way to know, so a lot of people, they play this game where they put their fingers and their hand in there and they try to figure it out like that. For me, it's very simple. I just keep pulling until it takes a lot of strength to pull more. So right there is where it's easy for me. If I really pull, yeah, I can add a couple more, but that's where we're getting a little bit too tight. So I'm going to pull the collar nice and snug, okay? Now, if you'll notice, I can barely get 2 fingers in there between the strap and his neck. He's not making any choking noises, which is also a very good sign that you're not too tight, all right? And I'm going to tuck the extra in there. And now my dog is wearing his e-collar and he's ready to go. Now, if you are training with us, your dog is not already fully trained, or even if your dog is fully trained, this does apply to you. It's important to understand a couple of things when you're using the e-collar. Number one, we don't like the dog to become collar-wise. So, just pan around there for a second. What I strongly suggest is when you're putting, when you're putting the e-collar on your dog, do not put it on right before you're going to use it, and do not take it off right after you're done using it. Make sure that you put it on well before you're going to use it and take it off well after you're done using it. And for me, I like to put, especially if my dog's in training, I like to put the e-collar on the dog all the time. So now that my e-collar is on properly, this brings me to another subject that's really important. How to avoid contact sores. Okay, contact sores are marks that your dog can get for wearing the e-collar in the same place on his or her neck for too long. Think about it, that e-collar's on nice and snug, and it's making constant contact with your dog's skin. And it's moving a little bit every time your dog moves, and that friction can cause what we call a contact sore. So it's really important that if your dog wears that e-collar all day, or maybe you're on a day-long hike or camping trip with your dog and your dog's always wearing the e-collar, every few hours you move the device around on your dog's neck so that it's not always in the same place. Make sure when you move the device that you properly retighten it so that you're not, again, losing contact. If at any point in time when you're training with your dog, all of a sudden your dog is no longer reacting to the e-collar, or maybe you notice that your dog's really up and down on the e-collar, always go back and check the tightness, because oftentimes your collar may not be as tight as you thought it was, or maybe you forgot to plug it in and it's run out of charge. So always double check that and be very careful. Make sure your collar's properly fitted. Now, we talked already about the device being on the left side of the dog's neck. If your dog heels on the left side, which most of the dogs that are trained by us do, you want to make sure that the box is not between your leg and the dog's neck. And the reason for that is, I don't want the e-collar to push him away from me. I want the e-collar to push him into me. So if the box is here, all right, it's going to push him away. It's going to make him feel like he needs to be away from my leg, versus on the opposite side where it's going to push him closer to my leg. The only time we ever put it on the inside is if we are fixing something very specific in training, and that probably will not concern you or be a problem for you, so don't worry about it.